It's time to talk about PCA. He has had a resurgence for the Cubs. Let's go.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making Locked On Cubs your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by FanDuel, now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. Before we talk about the freshman baseball game that we'll cover at PNC Park tonight, we are going to zoom in on Pete Crow-Armstrong with a little dash again of Miguel Amaya, as PCA is turning into one of, if not the best story of the 2024 season for the Cubs after a slow start following what was actually his second promotion of the year in late May, his third promotion overall since last September. PCA has had an impressive surge, and with his speed, I would say he even has been electric at times. Sam, since July 27th, so the last 27 ball games, PCA is hitting, includes tonight, .303 with 4 homers, 15 runs batted in, and 8 stolen bases while holding it down in center field. What he's doing, and Amaya as well, are really big.
Love what you said about best story of the year, because I think it's number one on the list. For a while, I think it was a combination of Michael Busch and Shota Imanaga. I got a lot of heat on Twitter tonight. For the first time publicly, I questioned the ceiling of Michael Busch. I've been saying it to you privately for a while, right. But we could talk about that on a different show. I think PCA is the number one story of the year, and I think Miguel Amaya's resurgence is not far behind. And here's the main reason why. You know this, and we're going to talk about this game later. I don't really get a whole lot out of hits and RBIs and home runs that don't matter. So when you go from 14-6 to 17-6, I'm not watching at that point. I'm just tracking because I got a show to do. And so normally when a player like this, after the season, by all accounts, is out of reach, I think Jed Hoyer putting Drew Smyly on waivers signaled that today. And we're going to, I'd like to talk about that at another time too, because even though it's still a 5.5 or whatever it is to save a $1 million, obviously this franchise has some serious financial constraints we'll have to get into in the offseason. But that's a tease. We'll talk about that.
It's been a long day.
We'll talk about that in the fall, Tom. So, my normal response would be, hey, Matt, it's great, but, it's not important baseball. But that's not true, because for these two guys, it is. Because Miguel Amaya is fighting for his job, his career. He needed to turn things around. Every at-bat matters for him. So that's been really, really important. And PCA, he's a young man in the big leagues. He's not taking at-bats for granted. These are still important. You see what I'm trying to say? It's different than a veteran getting hot after the season's kind of done and you roll your eyes. With PCA, with a team that has such a limited ceiling, right? You don't feel like there's anybody on this roster that ever has a chance of being a superstar. He's the one guy that has proven this season that his ceiling right now might be limitless, because, I loved him when they traded for him. I had questions about his bat, like everyone else did. I always felt like he would turn it around, but not this fast. This is really big progression. This stuff takes years. You have a bad first year, then you have a good one, then you got to readjust. And I'm not saying he's not going to have to do that, but this has been such a jump for him. Remember the whole story when Lindsey Crosby came out, he can't hit the fastball up. He's pounding the fastball now.
Wow.
He looks comfortable. Now he's starting to mix in a few base on balls as well. And of course the speed's there. I don't know why you're laughing. But
I enjoy you talking about the Cubs.
But he is really been an exciting guy, and what Amaya's done another 4-hit day for Pudge Amaya.
Come on.
Mike Piazza Amaya. Johnny Amaya,
Bench Amaya, right?
Yogi Amaya.
It's a bad take.
But yeah, listen, that's also a really big story, and we talked about it. He might do enough to where Jed just says, hey, let's go get a veteran insurance policy. We don't have to spend real assets on him. Those two guys have been fun to watch. And really, if we're really being honest, Hap's gone up and down. Suzuki's gone up and down. The quote turnaround, end quote, of this offense is because of those two guys.
Massive turnaround because of those two. Those are the 8 and 9 spots in the lineup, yes, but these are two of the 3 most important positions on the field as well. Center field and catcher.
Good point.
Amaya, 100% playing for his job. I called him a backup 2-3 weeks ago. And after this game tonight, since July the 7th, when he made that adjustment at the plate, he's hitting .352.
Wild.
That's elite. It's elite.
No, 352 is beyond elite. 352 is, let's go for an MVP situation.
I do want to give some credit to Craig Counsell, Sam, at your dismay.
No, don't do that. I get enough heat.
I think telling those guys...
Not giving him credit. Don't tell me my dismay. I like Craig Counsell. I just don't think it's been a great year.
I think that them showing up, it was just before the All-Star break, and Counsell saying, hey, you guys are the everyday starters. Aside from a game or two there for Bethancourt, obviously, behind the dish. I think it's proven to matter to them. And with 30 games left, I'm just genuinely excited to see these guys come to the plate. I'm excited to see the strides they continue to make defensively. I think PCA has been steady in center.
Yeah.
But there's some check boxes that are left unchecked on Amaya's card right now at catcher. But I think these last 30 games, he has an opportunity to make some inroads there as well. And I want to talk about the lineup now or later, but this is becoming a really big story. And the reason why I think it's appropriate to have now, like we have been thoughtfully now, really 2 straight episodes, or 3 straight, if you include Thursday for Friday last week, is because this is not like a 2-week stretch.
Yeah.
It's over 25, 30 games. So it's just really nice.
Can I add one thing on PCA?
Yeah.
And this will have all the analytic people rolling their eyes, and I don't care because this is who I am, and I like winning, and I know what a winning player looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It could have really stopped his momentum when he made that mistake against the Cardinals with that pop fly. And I thought he really handled it like a pro after the game. I remember I said it that night, that Sunday night. I really appreciated the way he handled it, and it did not stop his momentum one iota. And for somebody who's 21, 22 years old, that may not sound like a lot, but I think it just says a lot about his character because that was a big play and it was an unfortunate thing. And he said, hey, it doesn't matter what it was on me. It's done. And he's answered the bell and continued his momentum. I'm a big adversity guy. And I thought the way he handled that just said a lot about his character. And same with Amaya in a different way. I mean, when you struggle for that long, it could get really tough. It could get really, really tough. And so really cool to see those guys do that. And like you said, really climbing up the top of the storylines for this season.
I'm going to ask this question like this. What are the reasons not to move PCA up the order the last 30 games?
Yeah, it's a great question. Probably.
I'm going to scroll my proposed lineup at the bottom.
Yeah, so
Hap, PCA, Suzuki, Bellinger, Paredes, Bush, Swanson, Horner, Amaya.
Yeah, I probably would. If I were to move him up, I'd probably hit him lead off because I don't want him hitting behind Hap because that's just going to encourage tons of lefties out of the pen to see him.
Okay.
So maybe I would do something more like maybe Hap would drop maybe like Saya behind him because then they won't want to have PCA with a lefty. I'm on board with that, but just to play the devil's advocate and answer your question, I think Council's just a really big process guy, and he likes what he's seeing, and he doesn't want to mess with anything, so he's just going to leave him there. To me, if you're really trying to win baseball games, moving like Bush down to 5th, and then maybe going like PCA, Seiya, I don't know. I don't want to get into it. Hap, Bellinger, whatever would be something that I'd be really interested in for sure. But I don't think it's going to happen for that reason. But, who knows? Who knows? It'd be something fun to toy with in September when it really becomes kind of, not really that important. I guess though, if you're gonna put your best left-hander on waivers, you might as well you could flip the order too.
Yeah, I think so. And let's get to that in the second segment, as well as the full game recap as the Cubs do defeat the Pirates 18-8 on Monday. Stay tuned.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. You can cancel anytime. The Bears over-under win total is 8.5 with a lot of juice. There's a lot of action on that over, and I'm surprised that it hasn't been bumped up to 9 yet. But I guess I get it. I think this Bears team's going 10-7. That's my prediction. Week 1 of the NFL season, the Bears are actually the 3rd biggest favorite right now on FanDuel at 4.5 over Tennessee. I expect that line to finish at 5 by Sunday, and the Bears should win that game. If they don't, you might have to find a new host. Join FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sports book.
The Cubs play the Pirates at 5:40 p.m. Central Tuesday, and you can hear every pitch of the Cubs' hometown broadcast on SiriusXM by searching Cubs on the SXM app. Cubs defeat the Pirates 18-8 on Monday, get back to 500 at 66 and 66. Shout out to Star Wars. And are 27-17 since July 4th. The Cubs scored 18 runs on 21 hits, and Dansby Swanson's grand slam highlighted an 8-run sixth. A lot of Cubs of the multi-hit variety. PCA, Hap, Suzuki, Bellinger, Paredes, Horner, and Amaya all posted multi-hit games. And Amaya and Suzuki posted 4-hit games. And again, Amaya is hitting .352 since July 7th. Jamison Tyone went 6 2/3. Ethan Roberts, Tyson Miller, and Jack Neely were out of the pen. And Miller, a little bit inexplicably, I would say, had to appear in the box score in this game. Sam, this was a bad baseball game. Reminded me of my freshman coaching days. And 26 runs on about 47 hits and many steals. I don't know. It
was bad baseball.
It didn't feel right.
It's bad baseball.
It was. Roddy Tellez hit like 4 guys in the 9th.
Yeah, and the Cubs should have got out of the way at that point. They didn't even make an effort to get out of the way. He's throwing 40 miles an hour.
And shouldn't you swing then? Like, you're accepting walks against Tellez? Am I wrong?
No, everything after 12-2, I deleted from my mind. I said before the game, Mitch Keller's a coin flip. He might go 7 shutout. He might be absolutely terrible. He had nothing tonight. He had nothing.
97 pitches through 4.
Cubs actually let him off the hook. I believe he only gave up 3 earned.
Correct.
And then Germán came out and he didn't have much. The steal stuff, the stolen base stuff was absurd. And credit JD, he was all over it early. And he was like, hey, guys are like 18 of 19 on Keller, and Grandal doesn't throw anybody because Joey Bart, who's much better, got placed on the IL today. So they had to go with Grandal. I mean, and it was just a merry-go-round. I mean, it was bad. I didn't think Tyone was particularly good tonight. Gave up a lot of hard contact. And, early in the game, the Cubs wasted some chances, and then they exploded. Good job by Dansby to break the game open. Huge days, of course, for the guys we just profiled, Amaya and PCA. Right. Another big game for Suzuki. you know, did the Cubs hit any homers tonight?
Yes.
Paredes homered. Right. Yep. Yeah, he had a rough first 4 or 5 at Bs. Maybe they'll get him going. I think he got hits in his last 2.
Well, he's had a rough 4 or 5 weeks. So
no, it's been more than that. So. But good win.
Justin Steele against TBD, but an expectation is that it's going to be Jared Jones.
And Justin Steele had 2. I think he's had 4 bad starts all year. 2 of them came consecutively against the Pirates. I believe 5 and 6 earned. So a little redemption story for him to see if he can get those guys out and be sharp, because this is a game that I thought tonight's game would be a coin flip. I like the Cubs in a pitching matchup, and then obviously they have the work cut out for them Wednesday against Skiing.
There was some Cubs news Monday night, according to the USA Today's Bob Nightingale, and reported here first by Locked On Cubs Matt Cozy. Drew Smiley was placed on waivers and is available to any team that wants to put a claim in. Now, the claiming team would owe Smiley about 4 M's. He's owed 1.5 the rest of the year, then a 2.5 buyout for his mutual option for 2025.
Oh, I didn't know that second part.
Yeah, did some homework. So
that makes it a little more unlikely he gets claimed.
It's unlikely that he gets claimed, but folks, the Cubs put him on waivers, in my estimation, to try to get under the luxury tax.
100%. It's not an estimation.
And so it's, that conversation continues. Just to be thorough here, I highly doubt that if Smiley passes through waivers, they would designate him for assignment.
Right.
Because there's no cost savings when you do that.
Right.
So like David Bodie, we actually didn't talk about this, Sam. David Bodie was DFA'd on Friday.
Yeah, but
Cubs don't save money.
Nobody picked him up. Yeah, right. So yeah.
And then he
got outrighted, Bodie.
Right. I think they'll keep Smiley, but it's just more indication that, I could go get the date that Jed waved the white flag on his own team.
Yeah.
Because this isn't it. But
right.
They're trying to save 1.5 M's. They just are. Actually, 4 M's.
And explain that to the people. And that's allowed. They could do that because he's on the last year of his deal with an option, right? Because, people are saying, well, why can't they do that with Tyone? Well, because no one's going to you don't do that with a guy that's got 2 years left.
Exactly.
That's not how that works.
Put a player on waivers, you don't get any value in return. The other team picks him up and takes on all the cash. So, you usually do that on players that aren't owed that much or rentals or something like that. I would not be surprised if Tauchman and Wisdom are placed on waivers on Thursday, because then there's the 48-hour window, and then a team could sneak them in right before the September call-ups.
Yeah,
and it really wouldn't disrupt their roster.
And then you open up the September call-ups.
Open the floodgate.
Guys. And let me tell you this, if there's any GM watching this show, if you can get Mike Tauchman for the stretch run, Yankees or whatever, you do it. He'll help you win. Stop looking at the metrics and watch the baseball game.
Right.
So
that's the financial report here on Locked On Cubs. Coming up next, we have some Cubs Pirates trivia. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. Supply House is a reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands to get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every single time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining Supply House's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks of a button. That's Supply House over at supplyhouse.com. Little Trivia Tuesday here on the show as we close out another show. Thank you so much for tuning in whenever and wherever you may be listening and for making us the #1 destination to talk Cubs. Which Cubs pitcher has the most wins at PNC Park? Is it?
Don't do that. I don't want multiple choice because then it just becomes a guessing game because I don't know the answer at all. But I'm gonna think and I'm gonna do my best. All right. Now PNC was open when? 01? You don't have to tell me that. That's part of the answer. I think it's early 2000.
That's correct. That's 2001. You were right on the button.
So I immediately, you said Cubs pitcher.
Yeah, Cubs player. Yeah.
So I immediately jumped to a Zambrano,
Go Cubs.
a Dempster. I don't think it's Hendricks. He hasn't had a whole lot of success there. I'm trying to think. 01. I'm thinking Cubs. It's not Wood Pryor. I'm thinking it's got to be somebody when they used to beat up on them in the 07. I'm thinking I'm going Zambrano or Dempster. Am I close?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go
one
with
of those two.
I'm going to go with Big Z, Carlos Zambrano.
In 16 games at PNC Park, Carlos Zambrano went 8-1 with a 3.94 ERA, logging the most wins to date for a Cubs pitcher at PNC Park.
And he probably hit a ball farther than Paredes, too. You know what I mean? Look, fun win. Tuesday night will be an interesting game. I'd like to see Steele bounce back. Unfortunately, the Braves lead 9-1 in a rain delay. If it was the old rules, that game would be postponed. They'd start it over.
Wow!
But they're gonna continue that. And the only reason I'm not beaming with positivity tonight, Matthew, is I could just see Jed right now in early October doing his post-game or his postseason brief going, the last 2 months we averaged about, 5.3 runs a game. That's what we thought we were getting. So, this and that. But it's a great win. I'm excited to watch PCA and Amaya hit on Tuesday night. And by the way, when Amaya sat down, Christian Bethencourt's done a heck of a job as a backup too. Give him a shout out.
Absolutely. Well, maybe PCA and Amaya can hit 1-2 tomorrow. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast. The Cubs could wrap up a series win. Justin Steele on the mound on Tuesday. We'll be back right after the final out of that one. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
Go Cubs.